Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the podcast. Now before we get into episode 4, I kind of wanted to give you a little information about us. As you know, this is a new podcast. Obviously, since we're in episode 4, we're not that really far in. And as such, we still haven't really found our footing in the format of how we want this podcast to go. Now the reason why I bring this up is because episode 4 originally had a different topic and we really didn't like it, and we decided to scrap that and kind of go with what our intro topic was. And this is something we're going to have to work on and kind of feel out what our intro topics are, and if they don't flow well enough into our regular topics, we might change those up. So bear with us if topics and conversations kind of seem a little weird. Hopefully we'll figure this out real soon. And so for this week, we're talking about horror. So our intro conversation is definitely just about horror and horror movies. And then the second half is a quote-unquote movie review. Nothing professional. But the movie that we're going to be discussing is one that hopefully a lot of you have heard about. There's a book series, a horror children's book series called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It came out August 9th. And we decided to do a little review on it. And we went and watched it at the Alamo Draft House, which if you haven't gone, highly suggest going. So I'll stop blabbering on and I'll let you get to the episode.
I appreciate you mentioning Satan, by the way.
Yeah.
Hail
Speaking
Satan.
of
Hail
Satan,
Satan.
Speaking of Satan,
Mousema.
I've been.
Wait, no, Mouse Hero.
I want to watch a lot more slasher films. I created like a little list of like I want to go back to the classics. There's a lot of classic slasher films I never
there are a
watched.
lot of good ones.
Like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween.
I'm
I
down
haven't
for
seen
a
any of the classic
Nightmare
ones.
on Elm Street.
Have you ever seen them?
No,
What?
none of the classics.
Really?
Nope. And I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 remake.
Oh, the terrible one.
I thought it was pretty good for the most part. There wasn't anything in it that was like, this is awful.
Mm.
It's like, it goes through the same steps as everything else. So I'm fine with that. But like, seeing that, I'm like, man, Dead by Daylight had a lot of inspiration from this, which is really ironic.
Oh, yeah.
It's really ironic because Leatherface is like a relatively new character to Dead by Daylight, considering how much, the meat hook, the music, the like things that characters do, the juking. I'm like, it's, yeah.
Yeah, no. That's great. One thing I try to do every October is just watch as many horror movies as possible.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I try and pay homage to the classic slashers because they're just so good.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you want to like have a horror movie marathon, I'm all about that. I love horror.
I'm gonna be watching some tomorrow with my friend Abby. So yeah, it's gonna be great. I actually want to buy the DVDs of them, and I want to have just like a huge collection. Yeah.
So I bought my dad, I don't know, like a decade ago. It probably wasn't a decade. It was within a decade ago. But for like Father's Day, I bought him there's a whole set for Friday the 13th. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Friday the 13th box set. So it has Jason Mask, and it has all the movies, and then it has up to like, doesn't have like Jason X or anything like that, but up to like more of the originals. So then it has a body count and like other pieces of information, like what was it? Like how did they die? How many people died? You know.
Interesting.
What was the max min? That was always a really fun one. So it's like giving you the facts. So especially if you've watched them like a billion fucking times.
Yeah.
You can kind of go through and.
That reminds me of one of the projects that we never did. Like you and I have been recording stuff randomly for years now.
Yeah.
We're making ice cream today. Let's set up 2 cameras and watch ourselves make ice cream. But one of those things we recorded ourselves watching a horror film, and it may have been Friday the 13th.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was like it was one of the ones with Jason. But yeah, interesting stuff.
Jason Goes to New York.
I've never seen that.
That
one.
one's funny.
I've only seen I think the third Friday the 13th, Jason X, and Freddy vs. Jason.
Jason X is bad.
I've seen all the bad ones.
Jason X is pretty fucking. What was the third one about?
I think the third was it on a boat.
No, that's the New York one. It might be the third one though.
Oh, maybe I haven't seen the third one.
The one on the
man.
boat, because it starts off in the boat and they start dying, and then they
Yeah,
eventually
yeah.
get off the boat and they
no.
escape, and then they go to New York.
Yeah,
I also might be conflating too, but
What
I'm
I
pretty
s-
sure that is one.
What I saw was the remake of the Friday the 13th.
Yeah, no, well, the one at the lake and the. I mean, fucking.
Yeah,
It was-
of
I
course.
know, but the lake house. No, I know which one you're talking about.
But it didn't have his mom. I know the original first one was about his mom.
Yeah, well, the first one it was his mom.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like this supernatural Jason.
Right.
Jason shows up at the very end to make a cameo. I think post credits.
Does he?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
yeah. Post credits, like she's on like a kayak, and then he jumps down. He's like, "Ah,"
Yeah, that's pretty
and then
cool.
it goes
Like,
on. You're like, oh, and then
I
the
do-
second one is then leading more into the supernatural.
So what we should do is like in between each movie, play a few rounds of Dead by Daylight and go into like the next one.
Right.
Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. I it's funny. I've been watching so many videos about Dead by Daylight and not playing it. I see it. I'm like, man, I really want to play right now. I'm like, but my PlayStation's not set up, and I don't feel like connecting everything.
Yeah. And Freddy gets fucking weird. Like, oh,
that
Nightmare on
one,
Elm
I
Street's-
really want to see is the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's
I
good.
I don't know anything.
It's the golden age.
All I know is like all the blood coming out of the bed. That's literally all.
Oh,
I've
killing
seen
Johnny
of it.
Depp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Johnny Depp.
My personal favorite was the window kill at the end of the movie, which is
Oh,
just
through the door.
Way to spoil.
So that series of movies gets really weird. There's like a whole movie where these kids get superpowers and they fight Freddy and like a
was a
dream
thing.
dimension.
It was a
I actually think there's like something dimensions. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember. Like it gets really, really weird, and Freddy's history is of himself very weird.
It's always the same actor too, right?
Robert Englund, which is pretty much all of them other than the newest one, which had the same actor as the guy who played Rorschach in Watchmen.
Right.
And that was, I think, the only time that Robert Englund
Yeah.
didn't play Freddy, which I was actually looking up his, like last week, I was looking up his whole filmography, and like a lot of it's just like horror shit.
yeah.
The only thing I've seen other than that was a movie called Python. Not Anaconda,
Python.
which was,
Anaconda was awful. It was like a terrible good movie as well.
I really hope Python is just a movie about a guy learning how to code in Python.
no, it was like Anaconda,
be-
but a python instead, and it
Yeah.
was pretty shit.
Does the snake learn how to code?
No, it learns how to kill.
As that joke came out, I was just like, this is not good.
All I remember is seeing it on Sci-Fi Channel, so that can kind of tell you how bad the movie was.
Yeah.
Because like over 90% of sci-fi movies that came off on Sci-Fi were like not that good. CG was bad.
A lot of sci-fi is not good.
Oh my god.
Sci-Fi Channel.
The second, I guess would you? Oh no, those would be slasher. Never mind. I was gonna say like
Do you like horror movies?
I love
Generally
horror
speaking,
movies.
yeah.
I'm really good at horror movies.
What's your favorite genre of horror?
Psychological horror?
Ooh.
so. I saw the other day on one of my streaming services that I watched like anime on, and they had, it wasn't an anime, but it was a Japanese movie. I think it was Ju-on versus the other one. It was pretty much The Grudge versus The Ring,
Yeah.
and it was fucking hilarious. So it's like this girl watches a video and she gets cursed, and the only way she can break that curse is by going to a house that's already possessed, and she has the two entities fight it off to see which one's going to kill her.
Right.
And during that whole period, she's like also then trying to find a way not to die herself. Didn't watch it. Really wanted to. I also wanted to watch Kappa. There's a horror Kappa movie.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
They're not nice guys.
But they're not as like horror movie like bad either, because it's like they would trick you.
It's like
into,
the Japanese equivalent of Leprechaun.
Yeah, no, they are, because they just like, hey, you want to do some bad investments, and you're like, I don't know, Kappa. He's like, trust me. You're like, all right, I trust you. And then he's like, dead. You're
Leprechaun's
dead.
on my list of movies to watch. I think Adam Savage was in one of those. He gets his scalp ripped off in like one of the other ones.
Really?
I think so. I know he's in a horror film and gets his
I'm
scalp
trying
ripped
to
off.
remember which one. The only one I really don't remember too well is like the second one.
It's probably that one.
All I know is the rhyme that the Leprechaun uses in the second one.
Don't say it.
But
I know you want to.
I do. The first one had Jennifer Aniston when she was super fucking young.
There is a lot of really famous actors get their start in B horror films. It's weird.
And then there's Leprechaun, Leprechaun 2. I don't know if Leprechaun Into Hood was the third one.
That one was so good.
It was. And then there's Leprechaun in Space, Leprechaun into Hood 2. I think there's a couple spread throughout there that I'm forgetting. The second one, I think it was the first one and the Leprechaun.
Yeah.
Straight up, regular story. Nothing's like gimmicky about it. It was just the Leprechaun, and they're trying to fight it off. I think it was all about like this dad was taking his daughter out into the country, and they're like new place or whatever. And then the second one I think was kind of following that, but it started gimmicking it, and then the Hood happened, and they're like, fuck it, let's just go to space
whatever.
next.
Yeah. So
it's like
my favorite horror film is probably one called Lake Mungo. It's really interesting. I wouldn't want to spoil it for anybody. Lake Mungo is great, and it doesn't work as well if you're watching it with other people. Like if you're watching it with other people, it's like whatever. But if you're watching it by yourself, like it really messes with you.
Yeah.
It's really weird. And then probably my second favorite is one called the Poughkeepsie Tapes. And that one, no matter how many people are around,
The Gypsy Tapes?
The Poughkeepsie Tapes.
Poughkeepsie Tapes.
And that one will make you uncomfortable just to exist in general. Yeah, it will make you terrified of every corner in your house.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good one. And then neither one of them have jump scares or anything like that. And they're played like documentaries. So they're really awesome. I like them. I have them on my PlayStation 3. I got them forever ago.
That's cool.
Yeah. I never got to finish watching The Babadook.
It's so good.
I only saw the end of it.
It's not bad.
Yeah. One of my favorite lesser known horror movies is called Grave Encounters. And there's an original movie and then the sequel. And you guys know Ghost Adventures with Zach Baggins?
No.
Zach Baggins is a douchebag. But Ghost Adventures is like that.
Watch, he's going to be like the one person subscribed to our podcast. He's going to be like, well, fuck this then.
Hey, Zach.
Unsub.
If you are listening, you should unblock Christine Schieffer on Twitter because she is an amazing human being.
Also, give us a huge shout out.
But yeah, so Grave Encounters is kind of like a spoof off of that where people... like it's this ghost adventuring team and they go to this haunted insane asylum that's been abandoned for years. Go in there, come to find out that it is actually kind of haunted. And the cool thing that I like about that movie is the asylum changes its layout to purposely keep people trapped inside of it. And so it's just these people that go in and they start being all like, oh, it's a spoofy kind of thing. You know, it's kind of found footage. Oh, it is a found footage movie, but they show you the behind the scenes stuff of them trying to make this ghost show. And it's so obvious that the host just obviously thinks it's all fake and doesn't care about the stuff. And then, yeah, it is actually...
Oh, actually, I've seen that one. Now that I think about it.
It's so
I've definitely
good.
seen that one.
Oh, it's so good.
That kind of reminded me of another horror film that I like a lot called Session 9.
I've seen that.
Session 9 is a lot of fun. There's one scene that I've always wanted to make a GIF of, where someone is telling another character to do something, and he points at him in this awkward way, and it zooms in on him, and he's like, "No, fuck you."
Nah, fuck you.
And I'm like, that would be such a perfect GIF. So we intended to go and see
The Fanatic with
The Fanatic.
John Travolta, but it doesn't come out till August 30th, and I thought it was coming out August 20th, and that might be, but we found a movie that came out August 9th, which was a book series from when?
I don't know when it actually came out. I just remember reading it as like a small child.
Yeah.
I actually didn't read it.
Have you seen the artwork for the book?
Kenny showed me the artwork
Yeah,
this morning.
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. The artwork is amazing.
Well, yeah, the one that
Super
I thought
creepy.
always was a clown was that last monster. The smile.
The golem thing?
The guy that kept chasing Romero.
It was supposed to be a clown.
The Dowdy Walker.
Yeah, his head's one of the covers. Or at least it looks like him.
I never thought of him as a clown, but...
Well, because they have like red and blue.
Oh, okay.
And like it's all white. So it's red, blue, and white. And I'm just like, I've always thought like, oh, it's like a clown or something.
So we're going to be talking about that movie instead.
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yeah.
So
Which is like something I vaguely remember reading as a kid.
same. But
And
like
then-
just to preface, it's the major spoilers.
Yeah.
There'll be no stone unturned.
no stone unturned. Plenty of stones will be forgotten about, though.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
even though it was children horror stories, which is kind of a interesting thing to think of. Like,
yes. They're scary stories
it's
to
like,
tell
hey,
in the dark.
Hey,
Yeah.
you want your kids to be waking up screaming? Give them this.
Yeah, let them have this so they can have like deep-seated fears for the rest of their life.
God, I love the woman that was sitting behind us. She had 2 kids with her, and they were both probably like
And the woman in front of us had
middle
2
schoolers.
kids.
Yeah.
That's the perfect age. So, I didn't know anything. I hadn't seen any trailers or anything with this movie. So it was funny going in. I was like, I don't know how they're going to make a movie about scary stories to tell in the dark unless they play it like the Goosebumps film, which they kind of did.
No, yeah, they 100% did.
Sort of. Like, yes and no, because
Yeah.
it is about, I don't know, it has a similar idea, but I think this one was done better.
Yeah.
This one was more compelling for sure.
It was a little more cohesive.
Yeah, and it was like slightly a slightly older audience that it was geared towards. So as we were watching it, I immediately noticed we are not the target demographic for this movie.
No.
But I think that was okay.
It's definitely one of those
Because-
ones like everyone in the family could watch it. It's definitely more geared towards the children,
Yeah.
but it's also geared towards the people who have that nostalgia of it.
Right. So like while we were watching it, I'm like, this is perfect for like middle school aged kids right now. Like it hits every beat that it needs to for that age group.
Mm-hmm.
Like middle school, like getting into high school.
So the only stuff I saw in it was just news articles, and I tried to like step away. I was like, I don't want to read this. I don't want to read this. I don't want to read
Just
this.
avoid it.
But it's just like all of it was about the monsters that they
Mhm.
had from the stories coming in. They're like, oh yeah, look at this. Like they really did really well. And
Yeah, most of the classic monsters.
yeah. Well, I think that's where it did the same thing as Goosebumps, where they're telling the stories that we already know, but where Goosebumps was, it's the author and his stuff is coming to realism where everyone else already knows about the Goosebumps stories and
Right.
the books. This one is just like taking all the stories and putting them in a world for them to live in, but not as a world that knows about these stories.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's not like, oh, the stories that I wrote before are coming to life. It's like, no, this is the stories happening in real time.
Well, I can tell why it's a mystery thriller rather than just a horror.
Yeah, I could see that. There is some.
Was it though? There wasn't a lot of mystery to the movie though.
Well, they were trying to solve like what the deal is with the girl. They even had a what is it? Detective montage.
Oh yeah, like
They
going
had-
through the public records.
They
and-
had 2 research marathons throughout the movie.
Did
yeah.
I do appreciate that.
Well,
Yeah.
it was a research
they were
library and the
short
research.
at least.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They like got to the point. It's like, this is what they're doing. You understand that? All right, let's move on.
yeah, because the mystery is like, how do we stop this?
I think overall it was a really good movie.
Yeah,
I was really happy with it. It was weird. It was kind of like there was like sappy parts that I didn't really care for, but I'm like those are for like the middle school aged kids, and I feel like the tension and horror parts were really inspired. I thought they were awesome.
I got to be honest, the sound effects were really good too.
Yeah.
Just the like they did it a few times throughout the movie where, you know, it gets really quiet. There's no music or ambiance or anything like
Mhm.
that. You just hear footsteps coming up towards the other side of the door, and there's that rasply
Yeah.
breathing that you can hear, and it just kind of amps up the tension naturally without having underlying sound effects. But
Right.
they still kind of cheaped out with jump scares.
Yeah.
There are a
it's-
lot of them.
There were, but the way they built tension, I enjoyed a lot. Like that was my favorite thing about the movie is just tension.
Yeah, tension building sound effects are really good. I really like how they used a lot of natural lighting throughout the entire movie. Like on the ride
Yeah.
over, you guys were saying
Well,
like,
except for the one scene when they were in the basement the first time with like the 2 candles and a lighter and the entire
Yeah.
room was lit.
yeah,
I always think about one of the older scary movies, like the movie
Oh,
called Scary Movie,
yeah.
where someone like lights a lighter and it like lights up the entire room.
Mhm, it's like a spotlight.
It's such a trope.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like all the outdoor scenes, like they used artificial moonlight a lot, but it felt naturally lit in a
Yeah.
way.
yeah.
No,
The
I thought it was-
cornfield
I thought it was
had
good.
a
Cornfield was good. They're going into the house for the first time when the lights are out. That was pretty good. I really like the scene in the hospital when all the lights turned red. Like it was just
Mhm.
really effective use of lighting.
Oh yeah, they crushed it with lighting.
Hmm.
So that the scarecrow is like one of the first creepy things that you see in the film right at the beginning.
Yeah.
yeah Harold.
As soon as I saw that, I'm like, that is a person's face.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm like,
where did the family get
That's like
that
a
mask?
Leatherface mask.
Yeah, I was like, this family kills people and they make scarecrows out of them.
And like the scarecrow just had a natural hole in the stomach area.
Yeah.
It was just
The
weird.
amount of cockroaches was abnormal.
Yeah, the cockroaches would only be there if they were eating.
That was like Men in
something.
Black level of cockroaches.
They were eating the flesh of the dead guy that
Was hung up on
That-
that,
yeah.
stick.
But then it's like, oh no, Harold's always been there. Like Tommy's always hated Harold. It's just
Yeah.
like,
But that it was really creepy. Like right off the bat, you're like, I guarantee there's a lot of people I know who would see that and they're like, I don't like that. I don't want to wait.
No, the scarecrow was pretty good. I like the way
Yeah.
it was designed.
so
Yeah, I thought it was great.
which one was your favorite of the stories?
Which monster?
Monsters. And then which was the one that was just you're like, nope, fuck that shit, I'm done. If they're the same, cool.
Well, I'm kind of weird. Where like the more uncomfortable I am with a movie, the more I enjoy it, because that means whatever they're doing is effective. So I never nope out of films. I'm
well,
like,
not
oh,
nope
I
out of
like
the film,
this.
but like if that was your scenario, you're like, that's the one that would get me. Like,
Oh.
like for me, like the nope was the spider in the face because I just have
That's
that thing with
yeah,
like
Mhm.
insects living inside you.
traditional
and stuff like that.
body horror.
And I'm just like,
That was great.
I'm like, nope, I'm done.
I couldn't stop smiling. At
That,
part.
that was the
so
part.
good.
That was the part of the movie I'm not a big fan of.
But I really liked just the slow crawl of the red room.
That was a lot of fun too.
That was cause
It looked, when it was farther away, it didn't look as effective. The close-ups looked really good, but I always love the idea of like someone trying to get away and it's like, I
Nope.
don't care, it's not going to work. So that was really cool with the scarecrow, and that was really cool with the red room. The scarecrow, I kind of wish the scarecrow didn't walk. Instead, like if every time he turned around the scarecrow got closer,
Yeah,
I think that would have been cooler. And then like you don't see what happens to him,
Mhm.
but then like later they came back and like it's wearing his jersey. I think that would have been a more effective way to play it. But then that goes back to me like thinking, oh, this is definitely for younger audiences, because them playing it the way I was thinking would be way too subtle.
yeah, and they kind of needed to amp up the tension for at least the first kill of the movie.
Yeah. But that was
when that pitchfork
Pitchfork.
there we go, just went through his back and it's just like, I was like, oh.
Yeah, but it was really cool because like as soon as it was pulled out, there was already straw sticking out of it.
Yeah,
Like,
I
that
noticed
was
that.
really cool.
I thought that was a nice way to kind of cover up the PG-13-esque of the movie, where it was like straws growing out of his body instead of just like blood pouring out of his chest.
Yeah,
at
that was really the only kill that I didn't like, because I
The
feel
straw?
like, yeah, well, I thought that part was cool, but when he was turning, like when he got out of the cornfield and he was
yeah.
turning, I didn't think that looked
The
the
CGI,
best.
it
And
wasn't.
it was way louder than it needed to be.
Yeah.
So if they toned it down a little bit, I think it would have been really effective.
Mhm. The red spot, I think that was the name of the story. That one kind of got to me. I'm not a big fan of body horror.
Yeah.
Also, I can't remember the name of the story. The missing toe.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't even know how to describe it. It's like that subtle horror of just eating something or watching somebody eat something and they're just blissfully unaware of it, and you're just like, dude, that is nasty.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch that. That's disgusting.
Yeah, I can't think of any that like
The toe
that
was so
affects me more
huge.
than
Like
all
he
the
would
other
really
ones.
had to have like
toes are big. If you don't,
I'm like you. There's no
thought
way you
about it,
could
have you
have
ever
looked
grabbed
at-
your toe?
Yeah,
your
no.
whole toe.
Well, then it's also like expanded and
I do it for yoga. Don't judge me.
Oh yeah,
It helps you stretch.
it was like meatball sized.
No, I liked that one. Just like at the end, I was just like, yeah, this is just gonna pull him under.
You remember the toe in what is it? Pirates of the Caribbean. That one was huge.
Oh yeah.
Where Jack had it around his neck and he's like chewing on the nail.
biting the toenail.
I would probably say the Red Room
I really like the monster
is
of
the
Red
one
Room.
that would affect me the most. Either the Red Room or the monster from the toe story.
Yeah.
That one was pretty creepy because it's like the thing that freaks me out is when you're trying to get away and there's literally nothing you can do about it. But pretty much every monster did that, so that's kind of why like all of them.
Though the toe one, like he didn't try too hard to get out that window.
Yeah, I saw
could have,
that.
like, torn
I saw
the-
that.
I would have jumped through the window.
Yeah, like he had stuff. He could have bashed the window open, broken. Like if they would have
He
showed,
didn't
like,
even like move the blinds. He was like trying to pull the blinds up so he could access the window. And it was like 2 solid attempts just trying to move the blinds out of the way. It's like, nah, fuck it, I'm gonna hide under the bed.
Yeah, the Dowdy Walker didn't creep me out so much. That one is like, that was more like a...
I think it was cool looking.
I like the build up to it with the dog that's just growling at the chimney.
Did you notice the dog was growling, saying what the Dowdy Walker creature says?
I think like towards the end, I realized he was saying something. I didn't know that's what he was saying.
Yeah. Like, it matched the same rhythm.
Oh.
So that's what was really cool. It's like, this dog is growling in a strange way. What is this about? And then the guy... the Dowdy Walker head rolls in and he says it. I'm like, oh, that's what the dog is saying. So I thought that was really cool. Like I was saying, like the tension and build up parts are like inspired. They're awesome. I think they killed it. But there was, again, lots of parts in between those that I was like, I can do without.
Yeah.
Yeah. Charlie or Chuck should not he should have just gone with the two when they were in the hospital. Like, every single person got fucked over when they're alone.
Well, yeah, no, that one, like, I saw coming. But I could see, like, his hesitation.
Yeah.
I would have left the whole hospital. I'm like,
right.
I'm going home.
Did you catch the subtle bit of him having the repeated nightmare on the bus again on the way there?
Yeah. I did notice that.
So, I mean, like...
that just reminded me.
It's just tension building, you know? About, like, you know, if you're watching each character individually, it kind of makes sense. Also with, what was the other kid's name? The blonde kid.
Augie?
I have the list. Yeah, Augie.
Yeah, I'll come back all the way around when we get to that part. But the Red Room, there's something I really liked about that.
Okay.
So yeah,
Remember it.
Augie's.
Yeah, like Augie, that character was definitely the rational one. So whenever they call him up on the radio, which segue, the radio is so Stranger Things about like them using the radio to communicate with each other in this small neighborhood.
Right. Well, I've been watching older slasher films and older horror films, and that's this almost identical to the radio that was used in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
The neighbors would talk to each other. Johnny Depp and
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So it was like that's what I thought of first,
mm-hmm.
rather than Stranger Things, and it's earlier than Stranger Things. This movie.
This movie?
Yeah, because this Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is based in the 60s, 70s, I think.
The movie was in 68. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Stranger Things is in the 80s.
Okay.
So it's like
pretty on spot.
Different time period.
Yeah.
But I think that was it's a thing that was like really sold to children. It's just like because the communities were so much smaller and like you didn't need to have people like we're
right.
An hour apart. Walking distance would be fucking like days.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about setting a horror movie in the past is like you don't have to explain why they can't use their cell phones. It's like they don't have them. Actually, that happened to me recently. I was watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake, and I was like, why don't they just call the police? And my wife was like, this movie's in the 70s, and I was like, oh yeah they can't.
Though as soon as that came out, the 1998 thing, like I don't know why, it's just whenever movies do that, especially horror movies, I kind of get like hyper aware of like all the props that they had to use in order to make it like the 70s, like all of those old school cars, they were in really great condition because the people who actually own them are collectors, and they take care of these old school
they're
cars.
like unrealistically in good condition for the film. It's like no one in that time period would have a car
like
that
what
nice.
Is it, the sister was driving a pink oh god, what was it, it was a pink Cadillac, and she just drove up into the movie. I was like, my parents had one of those.
Yeah. I would love to see that set because all those guys who own those cars are probably there on the set just watching in horror, just like no, don't crash it.
So I thought this movie did really well with that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think about what time period it was throughout the whole thing, except for like at the very beginning. I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, and then it kind of came back
quick.
when they had the wax mold that they used for the audio recording at the end.
Yeah, that's one of the picky things that bothered me. They like, I know a lot about random eclectic things, and the way they were holding it, you actually have a high risk of damaging those wax cylinders
because it's on the outside.
There's a very special way to hold it. Like you actually have to like put your fingers in through on the inside of it and hold it, like pinch the outside.
Yeah,
like your springs or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like they're really sensitive. I only know that because the Hello Internet podcast literally just not too long ago produced an episode that was only distributed in wax cylinders.
Wow, that's cool.
They're ridiculous. Yeah, and another like picky thing that bothered me is I'm also into lock sport, which is like,
Dude, as soon as he pulled out that switchblade, I was like, ooh, Dominic's got to be
No, once he did the pen thing, I just looked over at Dominic, and he's like, don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, so lock picking in movies is always really bad.
I was like, he has a switchblade. He has a switchblade, and then he pulls a switchblade. I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have had a switchblade.
It's just stereotypes.
I would have rather him like if like they were in the police station and like there's a switchblade and he grabbed it out of safety, and then now he does carry a switchblade. I think that would have been like he built up to that their stereotype of
maybe, yeah, because he didn't seem like that type of guy.
Yeah.
I was confused at why people didn't like him in the beginning. I'm like, is it because he's Indian? I thought he was Indian though. Most of the movie until someone called him a wetback. I could say it. I'm Hispanic.
Oh yeah,
I can say it. I'm Hispanic too.
Dylan, don't you dare.
Let's move on from this conversation.
Anyway, yeah, I thought he was Indian. I was really confused until they called him that, and I was like, oh, he's Mexican. I got it now.
Yeah, but I did kind of like the subtle build up of his character. You know how he's like running from the draft.
I thought that was funny when the cop finally brought that up. And he's
Draft
like,
dodger.
Like you think the cop is a big old racist, but no, he's just like, you're an older kid. You shouldn't be here. You should be. You
got to be serving your country.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's why he said that he's what is it? He said he was like there for work, basically. Like he said he's following the crops, the harvest.
Yeah.
So it's like if you had a job, he didn't have to go and serve the military.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, that makes sense now.
Well, it's also like as a sheriff of a small town, like a new person comes in, you're just wary of them regardless.
Right.
So it's like it made sense that he was on him. I didn't think he was like doing it for a racist thing. The kid's making sense but they showed him and he's like, yeah, he just wants to go to Nam and just shoot up, people. And it's like, oh,
Communists.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. So Augie was the second kill?
Augie was the
it was
blonde
Tommy,
kid.
Augie, and then it was
Chuck,
Ruth.
Ruth, then
and
Chuck.
then Chuck, and then
Sheriff McDouchebag.
That guy got wrecked.
Because he was in the way of getting to...
So what about... Is there anything in particular you liked about Augie's kill or his death?
Augie's... I just liked like the pull. Like I expected it, but it's kind of one of those things where for me, like, as a child, I was always really afraid of the dark, and I would sleep with my... like up against the wall. And so...
Oh, with the bed in the corner? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's like, even if you go in my room, my bed's in the corner. It's just like how I always put my bed. And now it's not an issue. Like, it's not like a fear for me anymore.
Yeah.
But that's just how I place my bed. I look for a corner and stuff. But like that kind of puts it like the corners aren't safe.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like his bed was in a corner
like,
underneath the bed, and it pulled him, and it's like it just disrupts space and time within that area. And it's just like, it doesn't matter. You're fucked.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And so for me, like, that was just like a shit. I would also sleep with my back facing away from the wall. I'd always face the wall when I was a kid too.
That seems like the opposite of what you would do.
So because I also did not have faith in anything that like I tried to do to stop anything from killing me. So I was like, as long as I don't see it kill me, then I won't hold a grudge and I can pass on.
All right.
So that was my thought process. I'd be like, as long as I don't know who they are, I'm good.
I was never afraid of like monsters or anything like that. I was always afraid of a person breaking into my room and killing me.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like a specific,
people still freak me out.
It wasn't even like a specific monster. It was just like in general.
Yeah.
I knew there were things out there, whether it be people or creatures or whatever it is. I'm like, if I die, just regardless of what it is, I don't care. I don't want to know, and I just want to pass on. And I won't hold a grudge if you can get me without me knowing.
Yeah. I liked how long his tension moment lasted. Like, it felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
And he was being so slow and cautious, and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I love this.
Admittedly, I didn't watch the first half of that particular scene because what is it? Early in the movie, the sound effects kind of ticked me off that there would be quiet moments and they would use natural sounds to build the tension. So I was like, okay, this is probably a good scene to kind of test that out. So just as the corpse is walking down the hallway, the music cuts out and the tension's kind of building, I closed my eyes. I was just trying to pay attention to the sounds, and they had a lot of really good, audible, natural sounds that just kind of built the tension.
Yeah, and no, it was great.
Like
I feel like it would be easy to stop breathing while watching that scene, because like the kid's trying to be so quiet,
yeah, for sure.
and you're just like,
And that was the thing though, because like there is the raspy voice of the
Yeah.
corpse. That I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but like she was subtly breathing. It was the back stereo speaker of the movie from the surround sound, but she was subtly breathing throughout the entire scene.
Yeah.
As he's trying to keep his voice down, and he's just like, can't breathe, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
There's something in here, and then you just hear that in the background.
yeah, it was really cool. I like that. I feel like a lot of movies now have to start changing up how they build tension in that way, because things that get more obvious, and it's like this one was obvious, but what they did is they just dragged it out a little bit longer than normal, and then it made it so much more effective. But yeah, that one was cool. What was the next one? Ruth.
Yeah,
Ruth.
Spider. Yeah, the red dot, red spot.
Red spot.
I feel like
The
the actress wasn't great.
No,
for
she wasn't.
that role. So some dialogue was kind of awkward between like with her and some of the other characters.
They also didn't build her enough for you to care.
She was very much
Right.
a side character. I think her connection, really, I mean, the only connection is she was the brother of Chuck, or his sister of Chuck, and then she was also got thrown down into the basement at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So it was almost kind of very Final Destination. It's like, cool, everybody that's in this room, you're on the list.
Where did all of Tommy's friends go? They just bailed.
They just bailed.
Yeah.
Well, they were drinking, and then he went home and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and then he's just like, I'm done.
They bailed. Yeah.
I actually think they probably bailed right after the whole shit thing, because it was only Augie, or not, it was only Tommy and Ruth when they got to the house.
No, because yes, yeah. At that
So
part.
they probably bailed out after the movie theater.
Yeah, after the movie.
After they get to the drive-in. After they get to the drive-in, they probably just bailed out, and then Tommy was just like, "No, we're gonna follow."
He's
them.
like, I got problems. I'm gonna go make my life worse.
But yeah, her death, it's not really a death.
No, she didn't die at all.
She survived.
Yeah, which is also kind of like I'm kind of because like she wasn't. I liked her only because she wasn't a complete bitch. Because when she like Augie tried to help her out, she's like, "Oh, thank you," and she's very kind to him and stuff like that. She wasn't. She
funny.
wasn't like the bitchy sister who hates every single one of her little
She was
brother's
just
friends.
stoic. You know?
Yeah, but
I don't have time for my younger siblings
Like,
kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, that's normal.
they save her and she gets saved, which is like at this point she's the first person to survive.
But
Her brother
she's
was
off in the loony bin and she's never coming back.
Right, but it's
And
like
then she came back at the end of the movie.
right, and it's like okay.
I was actually expecting everyone to come back at the end of the movie.
I was too, and I'm kind of
And
glad
I'm-
that they didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't. I wish they didn't.
Do the end part. where
Yeah,
they-
I wish they weren't like, in us together, we're gonna go find them.
we,
I was
we
like,
can get them back, and it's all from this book. It's like just
I wish they
eccentric.
didn't do that. I kind of wish it just like,
Well, it's like telling kids like there's still hope. It's like there's not. We know it
yeah,
as
like
adults.
well,
They're
even
done.
if
They're
even if
dead.
there was, it felt like they were trying to make a sequel happen.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, I think like
it would've
leaving
been nicer if
leaving
they
it
didn't.
open ended just in case they felt like it is. I think a lot
Right,
of
but
movies
they
do that.
could have made it open ended, but not
Godzilla.
like if they just never brought up the other people again. I think that would have been better, because that would leave it open ended. You're like, wait, what happened to everybody else? Are they still gone? And then you see another one if they do make a sequel, and you're like, oh my god, did they get them back?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
so yeah, so
So that was the one that freaked you out the most.
Ruth,
Me?
Ruth's.
Ruth's? Well,
it irked me the most.
Why?
Again, it's just like creatures and spiders and insects
I
living
see what
within
you
your
mean.
body. It
Yeah.
irked
I thought you meant like the scene, like it irritated you.
No, it irked me like that kind of always gets me. It wasn't as bad as other things. I don't know why. I was expecting my skin to like crawl and get the goosebumps like it usually does in those types of things, but it didn't have that happen.
yeah, I'm the same way. It's just I appreciate body horror, but that specific brand of like there's a spider nest in your skin and they're gonna burrow out kind of thing, like what Kenny's talking about, or
That doesn't freak me out.
The-
Body horror only affects me if it's self-inflicted.
true, but like the the scene, the entire buildup of the scene where she's in the bathroom and there's like this giant fucking zit, and she just keeps
It's a
messing.
boil at that point.
Yeah,
it's not even,
and it's like, I've known people who are like, "Yo, Dylan, there are fucking YouTube videos of people popping giant zits. You want to watch this?" I'm like, no, nothing about that is appealing to me.
I have a friend who's obsessed with those. She's so weird.
I hate it so much, and it's just that kind of thing. Like, it was effective. I'll put it that way. It was effective for me because that's the kind of thing that kind of gives me the creepy crawlies.
Yeah.
As far as like favorite kill, probably the Red Room. I loved the design of that obese woman or whatever, and I like what you were talking about when you look at her from a distance. She's not very, it doesn't sell it very much.
The animation is goofy.
Yeah, exactly. But
far away.
I do
but like up close it looked great.
Yeah, and
up close you're like, fuck that.
One thing I thought they did really well is they show it at a distance, and then the character's freaking out and he turns around and he runs in a direction, and then they do a pan up and they actually show you in detail, this is the woman. This is what she looks like in detail. Her proportions are off. It's very uncanny valley. And then they kind of give you that visual. So the rest of the scene, at least for me, was passable because I could kind of fill in the blanks and the goofiness of the animation with the detail that they gave up front at the beginning.
Yeah.
Also, like with it was like the softest kill too at the same time. And I think that's what like, it's like, really, if I had to go by any of the monsters, I feel like that'd be the one I would want to go by.
Being smothered?
Well, just like hugs you and absorbs you in. And
It's
just
very
like,
smothering, though.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. It's like,
It's like the warm embrace of a pillow over your face. And it's just, she was smiling the whole time.
I think I'd rather go by spiders.
Go by spiders?
People make me uncomfortable. And having someone that close to me makes me more uncomfortable than having spiders around
Especially, like, as the embrace is coming around you.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I would try and...
I don't hug family members.
I would
either.
try and
So,
juke it.
like, I have problems. I only hug, like, very close family members. What were you saying?
I said, I don't know. If it were me, I think I would have tried to have juked it. I would have failed horribly. I feel like it would have had, like, a reaction that would have, like...
Yeah, literally every turn you would make, it'd be getting closer.
Right, but I'm like, I would be hoping, like, if I, like, got past it, like, it wouldn't... I could, like, keep running and actually get out. But, oh, yeah, going back to Ruth, like, hers, she was able to survive, but everyone else is, like, they weren't. Like, it seemed like there was no real way for them to have survived.
I think it's good that they did that because it kind of helps you gain a sense of dread where you're not like, oh, she made it, everyone else is gonna make it. It's like, nope, not necessarily.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Also, I think, or I appreciate how death isn't the only...
It's not the only end.
I was about to say punishment, but that's outcome. Death isn't necessarily the only outcome for these characters. You can be permanently scarred, both emotionally and physically.
Yeah, but then they show her, like, if she was still in, like, the loony bin, I'd have been like, all right, that's it. But, like,
or
she's
like,
perfectly fine.
Maybe if they make a sequel, she'll be unstable.
When she's in the back of the car and she's smiling like a normal girl, it's like,
yeah, and
you
like,
could have at least done something
else. The scar
else.
is pretty, like
Like if she's like staring off into space and you're like,
oh,
she's still got problems.
She's like trying to float invisible. I'm gonna catch the dragons, Dan. It's okay. I'll get the purple dragon.
See, like, if they showed her, like, emotionally distraught and she was, like, the one cuddling the book and stuff like that, like in the back or something like that, like show like trying to take her,
probably,
like she's like,
it would have been
you.
better. Yeah.
I thought the ending was really cheesy.
No, it was
Like,
very.
if they just cut out the whole scene in the car, I'd have been fine with that.
Mega cheese.
Yeah, just chop out that whole section.
What they needed to do is they needed to bury the book, and then it needed to come up on shore on a beach somewhere, and then just a lot of
I feel like you're making a reference that I don't understand.
Jumanji.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Ruth, and then it was
Red Room.
The red.
Red Room. Yeah, that was.
Red Room.
Oh, right.
Red Room.
The part I wanted to mention that I thought was super cool when they were listening to the recording for that part, and they have the I almost called her the entity.
The book.
I'm playing too much Dead by Daylight. No, the character. What's her name? The writer of the book.
Sarah.
Yeah, they have her
Wax
tell
recording.
the story of Chuck's death, basically,
As it's getting written.
as it's happening. I was like, that's super cool, and it was even cooler because her brother, like, responded.
Like,
Oh,
Who's like,
yeah.
who's Chuck.
Or who's
whatever
Charlie?
Charlie, whatever his name
Charlie.
is. I thought that was super cool
It's
because
Chuck.
it's like that kind of makes it like their story has been written since back then, and there is nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was.
I really like the transition where it goes from, well, first of all, on the wax cylinder recording, where there's almost kind of like a natural lapse in the conversation, and Sarah's voice and her tone changes, and it's kind of like, oh, that's the first thing that kind of set you off a little bit. Is like something changed, and then she's reading it out, and then they show the book, and then I really like the visual transition where it goes from graspy recording voice to the soothing, calming voice as Chuck is running through the hallways, and you realize it's his internal monologue.
Yeah, I wasn't
and the
sure if he
voices that
was-
were talking to him.
I wasn't sure if he was hearing that or not.
I think he was.
Yeah, so like that's why I was like, does he know that's happening?
Yeah.
'Cause that would be extra creepy. But then I feel like it would be too much if he actually was hearing it. So I would almost have preferred if it just stayed the scratchy recording sound.
Over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was super cool. I saw that and I was like, yes.
If I were him, when he was going between buildings, when he was like trying to find a way out, I would have just stayed outside. I would have been done there. Like, am I outside?
If they were like, do you know where you're going? I would be like, I have no idea where I'm going. I'm totally lost. Please help me.
Yeah, I'm like, I was somewhere, and
I was trying to go to the bathroom. I have no idea where I am.
yeah, it was like filling out papers for something, and then I went through a door and all this.
I thought it was pretty obvious what was going to happen to him. He's like, I'm not going in. And they're like, don't get lost. And as soon as he turns around, you're like, he's going to go find the red room.
Yeah. Though I like how he didn't necessarily find the red room. The red room found him.
Yeah.
And it's very Chekhov gun, where they're saying, he's getting chased after he got seen, and he's in the stairwell. As they run past, it's like, sound the alarms. And then you just hear that a minute later, alarms go off, and then you get that red tent over the camera.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool. And you see the realization on his face. It's like, fuck, this is the red room.
He like screams, and he's like, once that happens, he's like,
he's like, help me.
He's like, ah, and just runs for it, and you're like, yeah, you're fucked.
Yeah.
I
keep
felt like
wanting to call it the entity. Because it kind of is, because it's like taking people into another dimension that it created. So like that's why no one was able to find him in the red room, because he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
He was somewhere else.
Also, how'd they know he was supposed to be right there?
What do you mean?
Well, they get to where he was, where his pen was, and they're like, he's supposed to be right here. It's
Because
like,
they were reading the book.
oh, okay.
I know. I thought that too for a second. I was like, oh yeah, the book.
And then it was I keep forgetting his name.
Which one's name?
The wetback.
Damn, Kenny.
God.
That's a different way to bring it up.
I think it's alright in Mexican.
He
I
had
have to say
4
it.
different names, and
Raymond.
I forgot all of them.
Ramon.
Ramon.
That was his fake name, wasn't it?
No, his last name Rodriguez was fake,
Oh right,
Ramon.
and it was Morales.
got it.
Yeah, Ramon's. I also liked what was it August and Ramon's. Both of theirs were stories that were told to them.
Yeah. So it was actually all 3 of those. Cause what's his name? Oh, never mind. It was those were stories that were told to him. It was just playing off of things that they were already afraid of, and that was really cool.
Oh yeah, I guess Charlie's his fear is being smothered by his mom. No.
He says he had that dream, and he even said, I think the book is going to turn this dream against me.
Right.
Like, he says it specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tommy was afraid of the scarecrow. So it's like, it just took whatever they were afraid of and then made it into
It was
a story.
very...
Well, I think Charlie
Yeah.
also had the thing of like he was
thought
like
it was really cool.
wasn't wanting to be smothered by his mother either, because he was kind of like, get off of me. I know he was like trying
Maybe.
to go off somewhere, but I feel like that's also like maybe a constant thing. Like as a teenager, if you have a very loving, doting
Well,
mother,
if you're going to read into it that way, then you kind of have to read into how everyone else was
Right.
killed that way, and I don't feel like it really follows that same formula. Like, there may be parallel there, but I think that may just be a coincidence.
yeah.
That character for Ramon was pretty cool, and the dog was cool. I was saying the thing is that the killer was saying.
Like the police officer's like,
Oh, yeah.
he's like, no fucking way. This
Also,
isn't happening."
Yeah.
the sheriff's reaction was very it was very like comical when the head just pops out. I was like, you kidding me? And he immediately pulls out his gun and shoots it.
Like that's the exact reaction you should have. It's like, well, too bad.
Yeah,
it doesn't do anything.
Oh, then just
not in this universe.
The body is just and fucking just takes him out and throws him in.
I thought that was kind of cheesy.
The throwing him in was cheesy. I think they should have just left the body. But
I mean, the neck snap was cheesy.
The next guy, yeah, it was cheesy. The jump scare of throwing him through the doorway was so unnecessary.
But how was she going to get the keys?
I liked it because I kind of imagined that I keep wanting to call it the entity. The book is trying to make them afraid.
Yeah.
And having your guardian, the person there, big strong guy with a gun and a dog, getting thrown at you is pretty scary.
Yeah, I agree. I just wish it wasn't a jump scare because it did that. Well, the camera movement.
It went from jump scare to jump scare.
Well, the camera was looking down the hallway, not from the perspective from inside the cell, but actually outside the cell looking down the hallway. It does that classic thing. The sound cuts out. You hear the footsteps walking closer towards the hallway. And then the camera cuts and you get the perspective of Stella inside the jail cell as the body's being thrown through with the giant, music in the background.
I think I'm fine with the cheesiness of them and like the common use for them and not trying something new because it is definitely like not for us, for people who've watched more of these and are looking for those new things. It's like definitely trying to get to the newer generation or newer people who maybe aren't as used to these all the time. This is more of like that introduction horror.
Yeah, and I think even though they did play into a lot of tropes, I was really satisfied.
They did them
with
well.
I was really satisfied with the stuff that they did change and make new.
Yeah, there was definitely originality in the movie for sure.
I can't even like place it specifically. I have a feeling they had a different writer for the horror scenes than they did for every other scene.
Guillermo del Toro was credited as helping write the movie.
Yeah.
All right then, that makes sense.
And I looked up the director. I want to double check his name really quick. It was directed by Andre Overdahl, who before this, his only theatrical release was The Autopsy. I don't know if you guys remember that movie. I watched that. It was okay. It was another PG-13 horror movie, but it was basically this woman goes missing. Her body's found. They perform an autopsy. The people performing the autopsy find 10 billion different causes of death, and then the body actually comes back. And then he directed Troll Hunters on Netflix.
Nice.
That movie was so cheese, but it was so entertaining. So I feel like the director did a really good job, especially having Guillermo help him out with writing.
You can never go wrong if you're trying to make creepy stuff, if you go with Guillermo.
Yeah, Guillermo. And I felt like the actors were pretty good, other than Ruth. Everyone except for Ruth, I felt like they did a pretty good job.
She was like
I don't think she was
bad.
bad.
It just wasn't the right part.
Maybe, yeah, or she wasn't on par with everybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
But it also could have been like, it may not have been her fault, because sometimes like editors will, like there's a situation where maybe everyone else was playing well, and she wasn't at that time, and then scenes where she was playing well, the others weren't.
And they had to go with like, who are we going to see most?
Yeah, it's like you have to make a choice sometimes.
Yeah, the main actress who played Stella, she was really good. I felt like she
got in that car and I was like, oh, God damn it.
She was smart, but her curiosity was what caused her stupidity, in a way where like, when they originally go into the house, she was the person who suggested it. She was the person who's kind of like touring them around like she's been there before. Yeah,
well, it was pretty clear that they've all been there.
Yeah, she goes back a few times. And, I don't know if you guys caught this, but the short story on her typewriter, the first couple sentences were actually pretty good about her writing. I think it was something about the fear of some secret or losing someone due to causes outside of your control or whatever.
Yeah,
and like
it's her mom.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where I liked her as a character, and her character flaws made sense. Especially, God, I love her dad, Dean Norris. Yeah, Dean Norris, who played her dad, and I saw that. I was like, I'm glad you're still doing work, man. I really appreciate you as an actor.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in much.
I mean, he really blew up with Breaking Bad.
Yeah, for sure.
And then outside of that, he's only done a handful of other things.
I think everyone that was in that show kind of blew up because of that show.
Yeah.
So.
Segues are weird. Did you hear about the movie?
No.
They released a trailer today talking about the Breaking Bad movie. It's a Netflix subscription thing. Is coming out in November.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's there's no Walt in the movie, but they're going searching for Jesse, and I think that's the whole premise of the movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I felt like most of the actors did a really good job. Directing was on point. Sound design and lighting was excellent.
Yeah.
She did fuck everyone over. She's the one who said, "Tell me a scary story," and she just fucked everyone over right then.
I think everyone was screwed before then. But yeah, she definitely...
Well, because like the activation of it seemed like it didn't happen until she said that, and that's when everything started going dark, and you could see the bleeding of the ink shadows and stuff. Didn't happen until then. And even though
It let him out, though.
yeah,
Also,
let him out of the
she
basement.
took the book.
Yeah.
yeah, she took the book.
No, she...
But I think it's like the
over.
combination of like taking the book plus that. It's just like it all added on. So I think like even like if she would have taken the book without saying anything, they would have been fine. But because she took the book and said something, and it was just like these combination of things, it just kind of awoke in it.
Yeah. Well, that was part of her character flaw of being morbidly curious.
Yeah.
Especially with this urban legend and finding out the urban legend is real. You found a book written by the person.
She was stoked. She's like she was sitting. She's like right
oh my God.
here, and it was also kind of showed like she kind of wanted to be like her, which then kind of plays into.
I was hoping that they would make their initials the same. That's what I thought was going to happen. But Stella's and Sarah's initials were different.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been cool if they were, especially back at the end of the film, where she kind of is. Stella is.
Oh,
her.
yeah.
Like, that would have worked perfectly if they did have the same initials. I thought that whole thing was cool.
What was her
how she
last
kind of
name?
went into the past. It was like, it started with a W.
Huh.
I can't remember. It was like Whisk or something. I can't remember. Pull up IMDb.
My long family line of whisk. Sarah Bellows.
No, but Stella.
Stella. But,
Stella Nichols.
oh, okay. I was way off. But I thought it was cool when she kind of went into the past, and then they had her glasses back into the future with...
Because then it's not even like they've haunted the house. They literally sent her... They fucking...
They sent her into
they
the
quantum
past.
leaped her.
Yeah. I
They
thought that was
quantum
really
leaped
cool.
her.
Like, the way they play with, like, dimensions and time in the movie, I think is really cool.
One thing I really liked is her running through, what you just said, where she almost trades places for a moment, where she becomes Stella in the past, or she becomes Sarah in the past,
Right.
And it was really cool. It kind of gave me Conjuring 2 vibes. Have you guys seen The Conjuring 2?
No, watch The Conjuring with you, and that was it.
Man, okay, so The Conjuring 2 opens up where the couple, they're investigating. Oh God, I'm blanking on names right now. It's the most famous haunted house in America.
Emily Rose?
Nope.
Oh.
Winchester.
Nope.
Amityville.
Amityville. Thank you. It was them investigating the Amityville horror, and then
The Warrens.
the Warrens, yeah. And then so Mrs. Warren, she kind of went into a trance, and then she basically stepped into the shoes of the older brother who committed the Amityville murders, and she was walking around the house. And they even did the same thing where she walks by a mirror and you see her true form in the mirror as the older brother kind of thing. So, this movie kind of gave me vibes of harkening back to that, where you are yourself, but you are in another person's body interacting with this world around you.
Right.
Yep.
And regardless of what you do, you're stuck. The people around you are going to do what they want, drag you down by your hair into the basement and lock you away, kind of thing. So what would you guys rank the movie?
I was just about to ask that. Yeah, out of 10. I would probably give it...
Out of 10?
Out of 10.
Okay.
A B.
I'd probably give it a 7.
Yeah, I'd say like a 7 or an 8 for me.
I enjoyed it. It was pretty good, but it could have been better.
I would have liked it to see it more for a higher, like, age group.
yeah, slightly older. I think it would have.
Like
I think they would've
even if
killed
it was kids, because like you have things like Stranger Things and It and stuff where like they have children actors, but they can play towards the adult on things.
Right, but again, like I think it was perfect. Like
Right.
if I was a teenager right now, it would have been like an 8 or a 9 for me.
What was it in the theater? Like, we were walking out, those kids were like, "Movies shouldn't be that scary."
Middle
they
schoolers.
seem to love it though.
Yeah, they liked it, but like they were also like weren't used to scary movies, so you could definitely tell it was like the parents were like, "This is a nice intro scary like horror movie."
Yeah, it was
kinda,
genuinely
like,
creepy
to gauge their levels of
Yeah.
how can you handle this? Can you handle those types of things? Which like growing up, like there weren't those types of movies.
No, there wasn't.
It was.
We had the books.
Well, it was, let's sneak behind the couch and peek from the side and watch Chucky while everyone else is watching Chucky.
Right, and
You
then
know.
never sleep
Yeah.
for another 2 years.
Yeah.
My
So
sister had
what
a-
was your rank out of 10?
Like 7 or 8.
7 or 8?
I'm fine around there. I think it was, yeah, it was a solid movie for what it was. Yeah, the story was pretty good. There's certain things where it's just like the whole love interest thing where it's like right off the bat, like,
I thought it was cute.
it was cute,
I thought
but
it was cute.
it was like, I'm glad they didn't keep pushing it throughout the whole thing.
They made it natural.
Yeah, it was
They
a
made
lot
it
more
subtle.
natural, but yeah.
I'd probably give it a 7. Yeah, it's 7.
Nice.
It's
Solid 7s all around.
it had moments of really good originality. It had a pretty good story. I like how they didn't beat you over the head with stereotypes. Some of the scares were really good. I love the sound design. I love all the actual natural effects that they put into the movie. I think if I had any real complaints, it'd be it felt a little campy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's, like what you guys were saying, kind of in part because it's PG-13, it's meant for younger audiences.
Well, and they are like Romo,
We're getting old.
Ramon.
Ramon.
God damn. Like running through all the fucking hard things. Ramon, he even said like this was like a campsite like story that his father would say.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
So-
his brother would tell him.
Or brother. Yeah. But it's like that's what these were. That's what these books were like for kids to be like underneath the covers with like a flash, like a torch, type thing, and kind of reading these and kind
Right.
of letting the darkness around you kind of fuel the book you're reading.
Mm-hmm. And
So yeah, I recommend this movie to pretty much everybody. I don't think there's anybody that would really super dislike this movie.
It's definitely a good family watch. Like get everyone to watch.
I
it.
wish there were less jump scares, but as a horror fan,
That's
it's just one of those things. Every time I see it, I'm like, you're better than that. You had good moments of originality. Why do you have to stoop to that? But
That's fair. That's
it's
fair.
it's kind of like a personal thing. Overall, yeah, I would definitely recommend it to people. I might give them a little bit of a warning of like, hey, if you're uncomfortable with like body horror or
Oh yeah, that's
some aspects of that genre, probably just avoid your eyes in certain parts. But overall, it's pretty good. Man, I gotta be honest though, having this movie come out when it did, right at the end of August, is really getting me pumped for autumn because it's just right around
yeah.
the corner.
Yeah.
I'm so ready for that. It's my favorite
I
season.
just liked how all the
Same here.
trailers.
I'm always ready for Halloween season.
Oh man, so this is one thing I wanted to ask you guys because you just reminded me. So of the trailers they played at the beginning, did you see anything that caught your eye and you're kind of excited about?
I don't remember all of them.
I totally lost them all.
Yeah,
Yeah?
I forgot them all.
Okay,
so.
so
They were all horror. We went
Yeah,
and
well,
saw it at
that-
the Alamo Draft House, so
Yeah.
they kind of themed the trailers they show to what you're gonna watch.
they did.
So these were all.
Oh, and speaking of
Horror
Goosebumps,
films.
Slappy. That was
Yeah, Slappy was the one to tell us to turn off our phones.
Oh yeah. I saw that. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, so trailers. I think there were 2 or 3 that caught my eye. The first of all, the It Part 2 trailer.
Still need to watch part 1.
Man, I am so pumped. I'm gonna go see that with my friend in like a week or 2 when it comes out.
I'm gonna watch the originals first, and then I'm gonna watch the new one, and then that
The
one.
originals with Tim Curry were great.
I saw them a long time ago.
Mhm.
But
They had Seth Green in them.
They did, yeah.
And they were made for TV movies, which is what kind of makes them kind of weird. Too.
Extra campy.
Yeah.
extra
They
candy.
were good for made-for-TV films,
Mhm.
but yeah, they
And
weren't
then
amazing.
the remake that they did, it was so good. It was so effective. Surprisingly, it was one of the best coming of age stories that came out that year.
Mm-hmm.
And child actors were on point. The other trailers that I saw, God, I can't remember the name of the movie.
What was the fucking murder one?
The
Colonel Mustard and
Knives.
knives.
that?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. It was almost like Clue, but they had
Yeah.
such a huge lineup. And Daniel Craig was in there.
I thought it
And,
was. I'm still thinking it's
They
also had
intended to
Chris
be like
Evans.
Clue.
Chris Evans was in there. Yeah, Chris Evans was,
Yeah.
and it was like this is his first non-Marvel appearance in a movie for a really long
little
time.
while, yeah.
That looks great. And then the last movie that really caught my eye was the two kids in the cabin on the frosted lake. That I can't remember the name of the movie for the life of me, but it looks so good.
The Cabin?
It was it the cabin? Okay, so then the cabin.
The Cabin, but with a T that is an upside down cross.
Yeah, that's
because
what it
of,
was.
you know,
Where so it was like the dad leaving the kids alone with the mom. Come to
the
find out,
not even a stepmom. I don't even think like they're married yet.
yeah,
like,
they're dating or whatever. But like she was in this cult, and everybody in the cult performed a mass suicide except for her. So she's the last member of this cult, and the boy in there was the same child actor that was in It Chapter 2, and he did It Chapter 1, and he did a really good job in that movie. So I'm excited to see him take on more horror roles.
I don't know how I don't remember that at all, and I was there with you.
You were ordering food when this was out.
It was
so-
the first. It was actually the first trailer
got
that
it.
popped
yeah,
up. It
and I
was
mean,
going
like
on.
our waitress, she was so nice and she was very courteous throughout the entire thing. But she came over and was taking orders during the trailer, so I was like, I just want to get out of the way. I want to watch the trailers.
Yeah. They kill it though. Like you could tell that they really care because like they'll run at like 20 miles an hour, crouch. They Naruto run to get to
Yeah.
I noticed that the first time she like ran. Like the first time I noticed she ran by, I was like, that's quick.
She
and
was like
really low.
dedicated
Yeah.
to
I was
our
like-
theater. I saw her standing over by the exit, checking in on everybody. She would like come in. She'd do that whole thing where she would raise her head and be like, "Does anybody need any help?" Okay.
Well, I mean,
okay,
that's where they
we're
have
good.
like their computer for ordering and stuff like that. So like
Yeah.
she's right there, and
That's what's
even
nice
then, I
about
think they
Alamo
have
Drafthouse.
kitchens like spread throughout the building.
Yeah.
Like at least one main one at the front and one deeper in, for so that the food doesn't have to get cold and other stuff like that.
It was good. I'm really glad that Alamo Drafthouse is there. We got to go there more often.
Well, it's nice because like the food is actually like on par. Like
Food are good.
Well, because I have
Do we want to do another horror movie for the podcast, or do we just want to?
Yes.
We can go. Just go. And watch it.
go watch.
I'm so down with that. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely think we should do more spontaneous movie reviews or whatever.
Yeah, I'm down.
It was fun.
We'll get better at it.
It was fun,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think this is better than our first two.
Predator wasn't too bad.
It will never see the light of day.
No, hopefully not.
It's sad because Godzilla was actually a really good movie.
I was happy with it. You actually liked it the least, so you saying it was good.
Well, it's
I love
Is it
I love
growing
seeing the
any-
reviews now where it's just like Godzilla is a great movie except for the people. Like they're like everyone's shit is like on the people and not the monsters. Like it's a great monster movie. It's a horrible movie.
well,
yeah, they did. They said they were mad about the opposite last time, right?
yeah, because the 2014 one, they would hype up the monsters constantly and then cut away at the last minute. So it was
This one gave us what we wanted.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Anyway,
like, oh, you want more monsters?
This
We'll
isn't a
give you more
Godzilla
monsters.
review.
Anyway,
All right. Thanks everyone for listening to the podcast episode 4, movie review of Scary Stories to Read in the Dark. We really appreciate the time you take to listen to us. If you like what you heard and you want to listen to us, give us suggestions or just to say hi, you can reach out to us through our website at nodcast.fm, on our Twitter, Reddit, Discord, or our email at nodcast.fm@gmail.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, and iTunes. We will also have links to all of any sources that we talked about, or even just like the IMDb link to the movie. Thanks for listening.
Happy Halloween!